Welcome everybody to the Chess Lab. Welcome to episode 37 of the Road to 2500. Now, as you read from the title and as you saw from the thumbnail, this is Road to 2500 2.0. What does that mean? What's the difference? And my phone, as soon as I'm recording, it's telling me that there is low battery. It is what it is. Well, it is different. Why? Because so far I've been doing this Road to 2500 rapid rating using this repertoire here that is appearing right now on the screen. As you can see, against when I'm playing with the black pieces against 1 e4, I'm using this repertoire that you see on the top, 100 repertoires Denimzovic Sicilian. Against 1 d4, I'm using lifetime repertoire Shankland Semislav. Right? Against the knight f3 and the sidelines, I'm using these lifetime repertoires by Sam Shankland also. Instead, playing with the white pieces, I'm using this 100 repertoire Reti. Now, this repertoire is kind of okay. However, to prepare for my OTB adventures, I plan to play and defeat candidate masters, and I really want to climb up the rating ladder and become a much stronger player. And so this is not my official OTB repertoire. And you may say, what is your official OTB repertoire? Well, let's get this out of the way. My official OTB repertoire is, and I've made some very recent changes, this one here, as you can see. There is the Road to 2500 episode 37 that overlays it. So let me put it below. Here we go. Okay. Actually, let me also move it. And I moved the wrong one. Sorry, guys. This is the beautiful aspect of the live. Perfect. Look at this. Here we go. So let's talk about this repertoire. First of all, the white pieces. When I play with the white pieces, I'm gonna be playing these lifetime repertoires Sam Shankland's 1d4. It's a very big repertoire, it's divided in 3 parts, and basically once you play the move 1d4, it covers everything. Literally every move that you can think of. And of course some variations are more important than others, the so-called main lines. There are some considered sidelines, which still, thanks to modern engine, you have to be, very well prepared against those as well, like for example the Dutch and stuff like this. Sam considered the Dutch, for example, a sideline, but of course you have to take it very seriously. Now, as you can see, talking about, again, the white side of this repertoire, is just these 3 courses. You may think it's really a lot, but in reality is not that crazy. This is one, if you do the, let's say, ratio between quality and quantity, this may as well be the best white full repertoire that there is on Chessable. Because yes, there are some other repertoires. For example, there is Schwirtz. I probably mispronounce his name, but he's a grandmaster and he made also a 1d4 repertoire. But that repertoire is like double the size of Sam's repertoire, not necessarily in the amount of lines, even though I think it's more lines, but in the depth of the lines. It's like there may be the same number of lines total, and Schwirtz's repertoire is only divided in 2 courses. Each of one is bigger than the Sam's one, which again in total is basically the same number of lines, but the depth to which Schwirtz goes is much higher, and so in total the taxation on your mind, on your brain I should say, is so much bigger. And of course it's a little bit more nuanced, right? It's a very good repertoire. And perhaps if you are a stronger player seeing to enhance your 1d4 repertoire, you want to go with that one. But I think that, again, the ratio quantity-quality is in Sam's favor. It's a little bit less quality, right? Just a little bit, but it's still extremely good. But the quantity is just so much less. and is not even close. So to me is a no-brainer. I mean, a no-brainer. I thought about it, but in the end I went with this one. And talking about the progress I'm doing, I've finished part 1, and I'm going through part 2 and part 3. Now in part 2, the Grunfeld is covered, and also the King's Indian. I've done those 2, both of them, and or maybe the King's Indian I haven't done. I don't even remember, but I think I did. Is the Queen's Indian that I have to finish. Whereas for part 3, there are certain parts that I still have to do. There are gods in the Semi-Tarash, the Semi-Slav. I still have to study them. So I would say that the whole repertoire, the part 3 is the one that I have to work on the hardest, which I've been doing in the past few days. I really worked hard on this. 3 days ago, this was like 50 lines out of 600. Now it's 328. So I worked quite hard on that. Now let's talk about the black pieces, shall we? And don't worry, I'm gonna play a game after this introduction, which I know is long, but is to allow you to be up to date with my repertoire. With the black pieces, okay, let's start what I do against 1d4. Against 1d4, I have these 2 courses by Ganguly. I said in a previous video that I wanted to do the Shankland Semislav, but in the end I really thought about it, and I realized that I said that just out of a little bit of a weakness moment, a laziness moment. I just think that the Ganguly's repertoire against d4 is just the best that there is on the whole internet, to be honest. I think that against 1d4, these 2 courses that you see here, Lifetime Repertoire, Nimzo Semi-Tarash Part 1 and Part 2, are the best of them all. Literally, of them all. I don't know how else to say it. And these courses are much more similar to Schwirtz, right? So this is not really similar to Sem. Ganguly goes in high depth in many lines, and also the number of lines is quite big. Even though I want to say something, I don't know if you can read, but for example, course number 1 is 981 lines and course number 2 is 770 lines. I want to make a clarification. 396 lines in part 2 is the whole course. Everything else is the introduction. That's why you see 397 that I've done, because that's the introduction. And then there are the quick starters, the overviews, and also there is a chapter of 250 lines or something around that, I can't remember exactly, which is training positions, right? So random positions from the course that you are asked to solve, and then there is a briefly explanation of why the movie is the movie it is. So in reality, part 2, that it seems to be one of the courses that I've done the least, I actually finished it. Like, these are all the lines that you need. And of course, I'm gonna eventually actually finish it, because of course the overview chapters and the quick starter and stuff like this, they're still useful and they kind of enrich your knowledge. But strictly speaking, when it comes to the number of lines, part 2 is finished. So this is not a 770 lines course, is a 400 line course, which is a lot, but there is a difference between 400 and 700, right? So that's something important to say. And even here, Lifetime Repertoire Nimzo Semi-Tarash Part 1, in part 1 of the course, there is the Nimzo Indian, right? And I've finished that. The other lines that you see here is like the London system, which is like 95 lines, the Jobava London, the Trompovsky, the Verezov, so, you know, alternatives, right? And so, of course, those are important, and I'm gonna do them, but the big focus, which is the Nimzo Indian, I've done it. And in part 2, there is the Semi-Tarash and the, what's the name? The Catalan, and I've done both, right? And also there are some sidelines, and I mean, part 2 again, I finished it. So in reality, these 2 courses, they look, when it comes to the number of lines, extremely intimidating. And of course, they are very important courses when it comes to the number of lines, meaning quantity, but it's not as bad as it looks. It's important, but it's not terrible. You know what I mean? Okay. And the quality, dude, the quality of these two courses, you can't imagine how good these courses are. Like, he explains everything in such detail and such clarity is ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Ganguly is crazy, dude. Crazy good, I mean. Okay, so this is against 1d4, and also I want to say something. I know this is going to be a long introduction, a lot of people are going to click off, but it doesn't matter. The one that stays, I think, are going to get some good points, like this one here. I think that your repertoire with the black pieces is more important than the repertoire with the white pieces. Because again, with the white pieces, you don't need to go in super depth to be at pair with the razor sharp cutting edge theory to equalize, right? With the black repertoire, you need to do that. So it's important to have a huge detailed black repertoire against everything. Instead, with the white pieces, you know, this repertoire by Sam was made some years ago. Again, there are many lines that he just cuts quite early with a basic explanation. And I think that's actually more than enough for a white repertoire. And when it comes to the main line, is actually quite similar to Ganguly. Whereas Ganguly is Ganguly in every line. You know what I mean? Hopefully, you know, you're getting the point. It's like Ganguly goes into detail against everything. Whereas Sam in some sidelines, again, from the white side, is like, yes, here we could hold on to the pawn and study some crazy lines in every direction, but we are just gonna give the pawn back, reach material equality, but we have a pleasant hedge because of this and that reason. He says this in actually almost all the sidelines, so again, quantity quality is in my opinion the best, and instead with the black pieces, again, I'm searching for something more important, and I think that Ganguly's repertoire is slightly superior to Sam's repertoire. The Semislav I'm talking about, which is a great course, but I think the Ganguly's one is a little bit better for what I'm looking for. Is of course everything subjective here. But okay, so this is the white repertoire, this is the black against 1d4, and now this lifetime repertoire sidelines and flank openings for black is Ganguly's repertoire against knight f3, against c4, and against all the sidelines. And once again, I'm going to repeat myself. I think that this repertoire that you see here, the Ganguly's against knight f3 and the sidelines, is the best repertoire in the entire world against knight f3, c4, and the sidelines. The only people that are better prepared than these are like the professionals that have seconds and they work on like the ultimate cutting edge theory, like people that create theory, you know? After those, this is the best you can get, in my opinion. And again, because of many reasons, one is from the black side, I want the best repertoire possible. Against one knight f3 and one c4, I really think, especially one knight f3, I think it's very, very important to have a very, very good repertoire. One knight f3 is extremely tricky. In practice, is the move that I faced myself. I've seen the most problems against, you know. Sorry if my English is not going super perfect here, but you got the point, hopefully. And this course solves every issue. Now, this course, as you can see from the number of lines, is the one that I've kind of, the one that I studied the least. These 116 lines that you see are mainly from overview chapters. So actually, I kind of know what to play against basically everything. Not that I remember it, but, I saw it at least once. And so, I kind of have an idea of what the repertoire is about, but I've never went into detail in nothing except for one single line. So, yeah, definitely this is something that I'm going to have to study quite a bit in the future. And now, finally, we come to the final point, which is what do I do against 1e4? And this is something that I am actually not super sure that this is going to be the definitive choice, because this is not healthy, and I'll tell you what I mean. But basically, as the time being, I'm settling on lifetime repertoire Fressinet Sveshnikov Sicilian. Now, Fressinet, for the ones of you that don't know, was a second to Magnus Carlsen throughout basically the whole time he was a world champion. And he worked with him in basically all of his world championship matches. So we are talking about a strong guy, theoretician, and preparation-wise. And also Ganguly worked with Anand throughout many years and throughout many world championship matches. So, I have the courses of two very good theoreticians. And Sam Shankland is one of the most hardworking chess grandmaster ever. So, these repertoires are quite solid. And also something I want to clarify, this lifetime repertoire by Ganguly against knight f3, c4 and the sidelines is completely unrelated to his repertoire against 1d4. And he did it on purpose to allow everyone, no matter your repertoire against d4, to get this against one knight f3. So he's completely unlinked to everything else. He's very independent and flexible. Just to throw it out there. Now, going back to the Freycinet's repertoire, the reason why I'm not super sure I'm gonna actually use this one in my OTB journey, I'm gonna use it here now in the Road to 2500 as I'm about to tell you, but the reason why I'm not sure I'm gonna use this one is because this repertoire, to study it, is devious, is harder than the toughest Ganguly's lines. Like, this guy goes into a lot of depth, and it doesn't necessarily have the amount of explanation of Ganguly. He still explains things very, very well. Don't get me wrong, this repertoire is like top tier. If you are a master and you are trying to enhance your Sicilian Sveshnikov understanding, or in general you want to find a good Sicilian from the black side, this is a go-to. Like, this is an extremely high quality repertoire. But for me, and I'm rated 1957 FIDE, or around that, it may be too difficult. Like, this repertoire is really, really, really tough. Because there is a difference between, I learned 1,000 lines, and then actually implement those knowledge with success OTB, and in general, even online, in games. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to convert Freycinet's repertoire into actual result, because it's a really, really high-level repertoire. So that's the one that I'm not super sure about. The other ones I'm sure, because, for example, the Ganguly's repertoires, even if I struggle to convert them into actual results, I'm gonna force myself to, because I really want to have these repertoires into, I want to have those as my repertoire, because they are so good. But the Freycinet's one, there are other repertoires against 1e4 that are very good. There are some Caro-Kann's repertoire, right, which is entirely different. There is, I think, Sirinath, my apologies for mispronouncing his name, a strong Indian grandmaster that made a repertoire with the classical Sicilian against 1e4. That's also something that I may investigate in the future if I see that I struggle with Freycinet's one. And it's that's basically it. So what I'm gonna do in this Road to 2500 2.0 is instead of keep using the other repertoire, which would be this one here, I'm going to actually switch finally to my main OTB repertoire. So instead of, just randomly train some random repertoire for the fun of the Road to 2500, I'm going to start to actually train for OTB. So if before it was just, a fun YouTube series and I'm playing some chess and I'm having some fun, this is gonna be OTB preparation. So this is serious stuff for me, right? And for you, it actually doesn't change too much, except you will see me play different openings all the time. And so I think it was fair for you guys that have been following this series to kind of, be updated on what I'm doing. And having said that, that's pretty much it. I will say that we can start. Let me actually bring this out. Okay, now my muscle memory is going to make me play one knight f3 on move 1 of playing with white pieces, so you may see play some wrong moves, but apart from that, I'll try my best to actually play what I'm supposed to play. So let's keep going. I have my email also on the other monitor because I'm texting with a friend, and I have to check the emails. Okay, so 1e4. We are facing 1e4. My rating is 22.95. Yeah, I remember the last few days I've been a little bit playing not too well. You can see everything correctly, yes. And as you know, I play c5 against 1e4. So now this is Fresinet's repertoire. This is actually Carlsen's repertoire. Carlsen plays everything, of course, but I'm talking about when he plays the most serious stuff. Okay, I'm gonna take it a little bit slow. He's kind of starting all the way back, so I'm gonna lose some games on time, and I'm gonna get very mad, and you guys are gonna have to be very patient. But you know the drill now. So c3, we have the Alapin. Now, what does Fressinet suggest against the Alapin? Good question, you think I know? I should. I think it's knight f6, like Solon. Yeah, it's definitely not d5. And the good thing with those repertoires is that they go for the main lines. Don't think that they play some Nimzovich Sicilian or stuff. No, these guys go for the absolute main line. They will never play some knight c6 against the Alapin or any other move rather than d5 or knight f6. And I'm pretty sure it's knight f6. Okay, my opponent plays knight f3, which is the main move. And here again, I don't remember super well. I think it's knight c6, but I could be wrong. Let's just go with knight c6. I think this is the main. And yeah, okay, so bishop c4. This is super main stuff. This is Ganguly stuff. I think knight b6, because Fressinet follows Ganguly's repertoire, because Ganguly made a course together with Kazintsanov. I butcher his name so bad. Kazintsanov. No, I can't say it. Rastam, okay? He made a course with Rastam, and, for against c5, against the Sicilian, e4, c5, c3. So Ganguly has a course with Rastam on the Alapin. And this is Ganguly's course on the Alapin. Here I think Fressinet suggests to actually hit the bishop, if I'm not crazy. I think. And the bishop drops back. And here I think that he plays d6. I think Fressinet plays d6. And this is main line. I'm talking main line. And here, this is where it gets fun. Because I don't remember if I'm supposed to take with a queen, which you may say, well, of course you have to take with a queen. They just took a pawn of yours. And you may say, oh, maybe instead of taking with the queen, you want to take with the pawn. No, the two possibilities are either taking with the queen or playing e5. Because if you take with the pawn, you kind of achieve some weird coordination. Also, you want to take with the queen eventually to keep open the d-file, because this is kind of a weakness if you want. Not really, but kind of. And so, yeah, it's either e5 or queen takes d6. Now, if you think that I remember what the move is, I envy you, because you are much more optimistic than I am. I think it's queen takes d6 though, and this is also covered in Ganguly's course. Here we kind of want to go bishop g4, kind of. And then I don't know. There are some lines here, I don't remember. So bishop g4, rook e1, knight here, rook here. Whoa. What? Dude, I don't remember. Or maybe it's h3. No, I think they have to play h3 here. But I don't remember. I have to refresh my memory. Okay, they play h3. This is something. Now I play bishop h5. And here, what the heck do I play? Yeah, white has the Ganguly's repertoire, by the way. Guaranteed. But Fressinet, I checked it, of course. Fressinet improves on the Ganguly's repertoire, believe it or not. The guy is different. Like, this repertoire stuff. Okay, here I think I have to take en passant. Otherwise, what am I doing with my life? I'm not sure, by the way, and I think d4 is a move that I really don't remember. It must be covered, unless I misplayed it already. It really has to be covered, because everything's covered. But I don't know. So here, of course, I can go for the kind of pussy approach. which is to just butcher the pawn structure, and they're gonna have the bishop pair, but I don't care because I've butchered the pawn structure. That's also some strategy, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. Sorry guys, but since I have no clue what's going on, I'm just gonna butcher their pawn structure and keep repeating to myself under the blankets, everything is fine, while I'm crying, right? I don't know why I'm so dramatic, but... Okay, now I'm gonna play e6, I just wanna play bishop e7 and castle, hopefully without the queens on the board, even though I'm 2 moves away from castling, I'm not gonna get brutally checkmated. I could have also played long castle. But okay, here we are. And they have the bishop pair, but they have a worse pawn structure. It feels like I have no weaknesses, which is... I'll take it. And okay, here they are attacking my knight, which is a very sensible idea. However, I could save my knight while at the same time hitting their bishop. On the other hand, if I ever take their bishop, I'm fixing their structure, opposite color bishop, that's probably a draw. However, since I'm playing with the black pieces, this is fine. I'm not sure how good of a way of thinking this is, to be honest. Probably Fischer wouldn't be happy. Fischer wouldn't be proud of this way of thinking, but here we are. Here we are. You know, when you face a line that you just don't remember, and it's like you don't really know what to do, and it's clear your opponent is very well prepared. Kind of playing it safe, reverting back to some simplifications, maneuvers. You know, I think it's kind of a okay approach, in my opinion. I don't think you have to be too ashamed of that. Also, I mean, listen, if I take... I can play bishop c5, hitting this guy. I can play long castle, hitting this guy. It's not even that my position is so obvious. You know, it's not obvious to deal with it from the white side either. So I'm not necessarily going into something too trivial. And here I may actually long castle, setting up the threat of knight takes c3. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna long castle here, simply because it comes with a threat. And also I noticed these two bishops aligned. One is not defended, so I'm gonna do it in red. The other one is defended only by the knight, so I'm gonna do it in yellow. So these two guys are kinda, you know, and so I put here my rook, and I target them. Look, I'm using all the colors, that's great. So, you know, is a nice situation to be in. And again, the bishops are great, but if you put both of your bishops almost en prise, you know, you're perhaps not using them as best. That's what I'm trying to say here. You have to valorize your bishops. You can't treat them like crap, dude. Okay, so now they move away from this heinous threat. However, here I can create another threat, which is knight to e5. And knight to e5 create the threats of taking on f3, and if they play f4, well, then I'm just gonna take their bishop. And then their knight is gonna be hanging, and I'm gonna take this pawn. So I'm gonna play knight to e5. Now after knight to e5 they could play this move to attack my rook, but guess what? That's still a fork, so I'm just gonna go for it. It feels like I'm improving my pieces while creating threats, and I think that's great. Okay, they defend with king to g2, logical move. And here I could play something like knight to c4, which would hit their bishop and also their pawn, and they will force them perhaps to go even more back to this nasty c1 square. Now, is it worth to do that? Maybe. Maybe it is. I'm not super sure that's what I want. I could also try to go to g6, trying to hit them here. Because, okay, knight g6 kind of makes it difficult for them to develop this knight, because if they do, well, first of all, I butchered them structure even more. But then I check, forcing them to give up their bishop, and they will find themselves with literally the worst structure in the history of the universe ever. So that's something. But also after knight here, bishop here, how are they gonna develop their pieces? Well, they may play b3. They may play b3. So let me try to keep my position a little bit organized. Of course, I know that they can take, but in that situation, I'm gonna take, and it feels like I'm the one with the attack, and we have the same color bishop, which, well, technically opposite color bishop, that's when it favors the attacker. But, you know, there is some life to the position. And I have less weaknesses, because, of course, having this structure is better than having this structure. Because I have 1 pawn island, and their double pawns are just isolated double pawns. Whereas me, I would just have a stronger structure. So, you know, double pawns that's not the issue. The issue is if those pawns are isolated, they have little mobility. And look at this. These two guys are isolated, they can't move forward, and that's the point, right? And again, tough for my opponent to develop their pieces. Really tough. There are also some tactics, like if he moves the knight, which is the main defender of this guy, I may have some ideas like knight b4. Because, of course, if they take, they lose this, but I'm also eating the bishop, you know, so, yeah. And then I'm eating the rook, like knight a3, knight here, bishop here, knight here, bishop here, knight here, and yeah, maybe they move the bishop out and my knight's trapped. Well, not really, because I take here, and then I move out. It's not even trapped. Brutal. Brutal stuff. But we'll see how it goes. It feels like my knight on d5 is decent. It feels like my bishop on f8 is actually quite good, because his main job is basically to prevent knight a3, which he's doing. So my bishop kind of feels developed somehow. And my rook on d8 is perfect, and my rook on h8 is actually decent, because it kind of works against bishop takes g6, because after h takes g6, all of a sudden all of my pieces are active. Which is weird, because these two guys, they look passive, but feels like they're not, in a way. Okay, so, yeah, and of course the bishop pair is nasty. If they get to activate their pieces, you know, I may have some issues, but hopefully I'm making it a little bit difficult for them to do that. Okay, so they offer me their bishop. Now, there are some nasty ideas I have. So first of all, there is this idea of playing bishop to d6, threatening knight a4, and then I just take here. So let's calculate bishop d6, bishop takes a7. First of all, here I have the move b6. And then they play a4. Let's say I play king b7 and their bishop's trapped. a5, I just take it. But okay, bishop d6, bishop takes, b6, and c4. And here, I would have the move. I would have the move knight check. And then play king b7. So bishop takes a7 is not a threat, unless I'm calculating in a mistakenly way. Also, after they take, I can consider this. And they have to go back probably here, because otherwise it looks like they're in trouble. And then I can just take here, and it feels like decent. But I'm going to play bishop d6, counting on the fact that... I want to go... after bishop here, I actually want to play b6. That's my main idea. And if they don't take my pawn immediately, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? I think I could have actually checked immediately. Because if they go here or here, I have this. Oh yeah. I probably should have done that. Much simpler. Bishop d6 is perhaps overdoing it a little bit. It gives them some additional option of playing c4, but if they play c4, well, then I'm gonna just do that immediately. So maybe it's not that bad, actually. Yeah, maybe it's fine. Yeah, maybe it's fine. Yeah, maybe it's just fine. Who knows? Who knows? Huh? I don't know. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. Their best move may as well just be, bishop takes g6. It just could be the best move, But then I just play h takes g6, and again, my rook is very active, right? Bishop takes, h takes, and then knight f4 is even stronger. Because if they have to give up that bishop, this knight's not getting out, and if they go to a3, okay, good luck with that. And I just plan to do this, it's just very bad. It's just very bad. They may get mated if they just allow me to have an unopposed bishop. So yeah, this position looks critical for my opponent. But we'll see. Maybe c4 is best, knight f4, bishop takes, knight takes, and they just go to h2 and I don't have discoveries. It looks incredible, but what do I know? But now this doesn't address my threat. And actually, this is maybe even juicier now. So now I want to play knight h4, which was my idea. And here I think they're going to go to f8. I think, not super sure. Then I'm going to take them with check. And then I'm going to take here. And it feels to me I'm doing great. I have a slight pawn majority in the center and the king side. It feels like at that point. Do I have other options? Let's see. I don't know. Can I take here first? And after they take, I go here. And then they go here. They can defend. But then I go here, which I'm not sure what that does. And they can't really move. Holy smokes. That's kind of weird situation where they are in Zugzwang, because if they move the knight, rook d2 wins the game in the end. Yeah, it does. Because I have knight f5 in some lines. But I don't know, it feels like it's not forced, even though knight takes, check, bishop here. It looks brutal, but what am I threatening? They may play b4, I go back and then knight a3. I mean, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because then I still check and then go here. Oh my goodness, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. So knight takes, check, bishop here. Oh wow, that's actually quite bad. But they can play king here, can they? Maybe they can. Yeah, it feels like they can. Okay, so I'm just gonna go with the check. I'm just gonna go with the classic. The classic winning off a pawn. I was about to say the classic fossil. I'm watching too much Hikaru. It's not healthy to watch too much Hikaru. It's just not. Maybe I had a better move here, but I don't know. And here I just go here. And now I'm up a pawn. It feels more though. It feels more. But no, it's just a pawn. And yeah, so now my idea was to go back here. Can I defend the knight somehow? Maybe tactically, feels like I can't. And can I go here? I don't know, rook here, may take, could be fine, but I don't want to overcomplicate it too much. So it feels like just going back here is good. Just you know, keeping it controlled. Also, after the knight moves here, this guy is controlling them a little bit. So let me just go back. And okay, now we have opposite color bishop. So it may still be a draw. However, they have some weaknesses. They have some situations going on. Now I can play a tricky move. I can play the move bishop to c5. Bishop to c5 reaches better coordination for my pieces. And also, if they play any rook on the g file, which looks a decent idea, I'm just gonna sack my rook. Dude, I'm watching too much Hikaru. And then the fork simplifies the position even more. And then I'm gonna check them, play g6, and I'm basically winning, but I don't know. So here, they could go here, but then I just go back. And they can go here, perhaps. Yeah, they could do that. But then I may want to challenge them like this. And if they take, I just take, and I'm fine. I'm gonna go for this. Hopefully that's not like a blunder or something. Hopefully it is not. Okay, they go here, which is very logical. For some reasons I didn't thought about that move, which is also a move that attacks my pieces, so it's very natural. But now that I go, well, I could go here and do some damage control, and their knight is kinda but I like to go to b6 to keep hitting this guy, and I think I'm threatening knight c4. I think I'm really threatening that move. And what can they do? They can go here, but funnily enough, I actually can attack them because these guys defended now that I notice. So I'm just gonna do this. Just gonna go here, keeping it safe. And it's funny that after this, I may actually go here, because this defends this guy and attacks this guy at the same time. That's fascinating. It attacks everything, actually. But I'll think about it. I may just go, you know, king c7 or something. Okay, so I have my targets, positions going. Feels like it's kind of going all right. And here we are. Here we are. Okay, what do I do on b3? Because it feels like b3 is what my opponent is gonna play. I kind of want to play h6 to make sure that the knight is not a problem there. Yeah. But then my knight, what is he doing here? I don't know. I don't know. I'm having a deja vu for some reasons, which is weird. Deja vus are weird. Deja vus are weird. Really weird. But knight c4, is it an obvious threat? Because my opponent, I feel like, is really focused on what he wants to do. And that's a recipe for disaster in chess. He really wants to like try to do something with his knight. But this is a very tough threat. Because this pawn is not just a pawn, it's just that, you know, I'm invading. Okay, he plays b3. Good move. Very good move. And okay, I'm just gonna play fast here. I like h6 because it also supports g5, which, you know, is ready to expand. It threatens f5, which more emphasis. And okay, now they go here, threatening to play knight to d6. My idea was to play king c7, believe it or not. It feels like my king is slightly exposed, but at the same time, how do you take advantage of that? So I'm just gonna prevent the knight from coming to d6. It's a little bit of an unorthodox move, but I believe in it somehow. And then I'm just gonna play f5 and g5. f5 first simply because it wins a tempo. And I'm not sure like what my opponent plans to do against it. This just feels like good moves to me. And also h6, another benefit, it moves away from this bishop, which is probably the least important thing in the position, but it's a thing. And I don't know, I kind of like that. Okay, now if I play f5, this comes with check, so that's something to be aware of. Now I play g5 though, thanks to also h6, and next is gonna be f5, unless, you know, he does something really strong against it. Because if he plays h4, I'm still gonna play f5. And he has to move this guy back. And then even g4. And I start to have this passed pawn. This guy may be a weakness. I mean, you know, next thing you know, I trade one pair of rooks and the endgame is winning, you know. That's also a concern my opponent needs to have. Yeah, I completely missed this move. Congratulations to me. Missing moves is one of my favorite sports and endeavors. Big props to me, dude. Anyways, so there is take, rook here. What happens if they take and then they try to hit my pawns? Well, I think I can start to hit them back. Then they go here attacking this guy. I'm not super sure about this one. Ideally, I would like my bishop to go here, you know. So maybe my best move is to go something like here. Because I want to kind of take, go here, and after they take back with the bishop hitting this guy, and after this and this, their knight's trapped, basically. That's kind of my goal. So king b8 is my first instinct. And you may say, what about knight check? You can't do it because this guy watches it. So as weird as it looks, I just want to go for it. It looks weird, I agree with that. It looks a little bit unorthodox, I agree with that too. But if it works, it works. But I'm missing moves, you see, this is never a good sign when you're missing moves. But the knight on e5 is actually doing a tremendous job. It's kind of pairing all the threats. He's controlling d7. Let me do it. He's controlling f7, and it cannot be attacked that easily. Yeah, but even this move, like I'm looking at this, is not even a concern. And now I'm gonna go for this simplification. And if he takes with the rook, he just lost a tempo with the rook. But if he takes with the bishop, okay. I'm not sure what the bishop is doing in his life. All right. But now I kind of want to go back hitting this guy, right? And if he moves, let's say here, he could go also elsewhere, I'm just going to hit it. And then he may go here attacking this, but I can just defend it. Yeah. Yeah, and I have a decent position, it feels like. What else? I think I'm gonna do it, no? Of course, he can go here, perhaps, but then again, I have this move, which looks very good. No, that's not great. I'm just gonna go here. He can also do nothing, but then I take, and my plan, believe it or not, my devious plan is to just bring this king here. And they'll have to leave, and then I'll get f5. And then my king is on the right side of the board. They could go here. That's a move that is annoying, actually. However, I take, they take. I can't play f5 anymore. Or can I? Well, probably not. I play f6, and then I'm going to play h5. That's my idea. And if they move the rook, well, then I'm going to play f5. They can't stop everything. And yeah, it feels like my kingside majority may turn decent. Okay. So what if I take, and just play king c7. What's the big deal here? Not sure. Bishop here, b6, king here, king here. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. So I think I'm gonna do it. It's a little bit risky because now I cannot play rook here, and if I play rook here, this guy's lost. But I think my opponent is missing the simple fact that this guy's defending this, and it cannot just be attacked. I think that's what my opponent is missing, perhaps. Which, I mean, understandable, but yeah, it's really tough to attack that guy. e4 kills your bishop, and I'm in time to attack your rook before you attack my knight. And then, yeah, and then okay, then I cannot play f5, true, but I can also just create other things, perhaps f6, and then eventually get it anyways. I saw this move. My plan was to just play b6, and maybe my opponent here is seeing things like some ways to create some crazy counterplay that I'm missing, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. You know, I just don't. I don't know. I just wanna go here. Okay, what happens if they move here? I think I'm just gonna go here anyways. Here. And then they also have to parry some threats over this side of the board, and now they have to waste tempo on e4. So actually the bishop on e4 is misplaced because it plays against this prophylactic idea for my opponent to prevent me to play f5 with e4, because the bishop's on e4 now. So I think that despite my position looks cramped at the time being, he's missing optimal coordination, whereas I have it. Believe it or not. I know all of my pieces looks terrible, but 2 moves from my king, 1 move for my pawn, and my position is just flying. All my pieces are active, and let's go. I'm just trying to play logical here. And yeah, again, that knight on e5 is just so well placed. He's just so well placed. But my opponent has a bishop, okay. But now you see 4 of my 6 pawns are on dark squares, so it's tough for them to kind of target those dark squares. And, you know, it's true that my light squares are arguably weak, but what you gotta do, you can't have everything in life. I'm gonna have a very strong majority here, and that's already something nice in my opinion. So, no, but if they play this, again, I just play this, and if they trade, I'm gonna have this pass pawn, which is always gonna be a headache. No, that's catastrophic for them, I think. And again, they have no way to attack this guy. Like, they just can't do it. They just can't do it. And if I start to have this pawn like this, then they are on light square and they are controlling the bishop, and if my king is active, the concept that my pawns can't be weak, of course, goes out of the window. I have ideas like rook a2. Yeah, I think that going here is not. Unless you plan to go here, but... No, because my king is gonna get here, and you're gonna be booted out, so this is not even a weakness. He's on a dark square, which now it's important. And this guy may actually be targeted once I play this and something like this. How are you gonna defend it? I mean, you know, it's a tough position for my opponent, but, you know, I have some great abilities. One of them is called blundering in a winning position. Yeah, I'm kind of a mixture of Batman, Superman, and some other superheroes, you know. I blunder in winning positions. You know, chess player things. Yeah, my plan is just king d6. Let me do the arrows. King d6, king e7. Is it raining outside? I can't even... Okay, they may want to go here. Now, do I play a5? I mean, if I go here, they go here, I go here. I'm winning a tempo. Then I'm winning another tempo. And then I can decide what to do. I'm actually winning a pawn. I'm just gonna take them. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, a5 is not a threat. And after I go here and they go back, my rook is free, and I can just go here eating this guy. And if they have played b4, yeah, well, defending is not gonna be that easy, innit? So that's something to be considered about. So now I go here, I'm hitting the rook, and I'm freeing this rook for myself, which is very important. That's more important than anything else. Emo. And now I'm gonna go here directly, I think. Because, you know, if I play f5 after bishop here, I go here. I'm not super sure of this transformation, perhaps. I think I'm just gonna go here for the time being. I'm hitting a pawn. That's what I'm doing. And I also have a very nasty idea, if he plays something like rook c1, to play rook c4, and then just transfer over here and win this guy. Which, I don't know how wise it is, but... because after I win this guy, I can always come back here, you know? And my king is very close to the action. I think this is just very good for me. But I don't know, let me try to go here, into this, you know. Into this formation. He's on a light square, I have to be careful, can be attacked. But I mean, I'm just not... There is this guy here, so... And if he plays bishop here, then maybe that's okay. But then I have a5, actually. This position's quite nasty. Take, and you have just a little bit too many weaknesses, I think. Just a little bit. Yeah, but now again a5, right? We talked about it. And I have to, of course, I thought that f5 doesn't come with tempo, but life is life again, you can't have everything. So a5, right? Take, how do they defend everything? I don't know. And if they don't take, I'm gonna take them. And if they push, I'm gonna win a pawn. And I'm not gonna complain about that. So I'm gonna play a5. Also, very active king. Can't really move further, because my knight, again, is just a beast. This knight is the hero of the realm here. He's just the hero. He's the hero we need, but we don't deserve. I mean, this guy is really different. Also, this rook is fantastic. Can't really push, can't do nothing. It's great. Just great. King here, because maybe he plays something like this. I just fork them. Well, now my threat is to take. They cannot take back because... And they resign. Whoa! Okay. Defeating the 2384 like that? I'm not gonna complain. How many games? 649 games. So this is actually a legit rating. Wow, we come back like this? I'll take it. Let's go, dude. Let's go. That was a great game. I've been playing some Bullet lately. I'm also doing some decent results in Bullet. 1+0. I usually do the 2+1. I thought that in Bullet I'm the worst player in the history of the world. It turns out I was able to move from 2150 to 2170 somehow. But anyways, so I'm playing some decent chess, you know. And this game is kind of nice. So, yeah, so we go into the Alapin. I think this is right. I think this is theory. I'm not super sure about this one. Yeah, maybe here I should have played e5. I don't know. So I'm gonna check it. We are gonna check the Freycinet course, what he recommends. Castle, bishop g4, bishop h5. d4, as you can see, is already not so great, and I found the right idea. I say not so great because if you look at the evaluation, we are going from like plus 0.2, which is the opener, to minus 0.2. So, you know, black is already doing okay. And here I just played e6, and here I played knight d5, because here, of course, I don't know if I said it in the video, because to me it was obvious, but they were kind of threatening to perhaps double our pawns too, and all of a sudden we have some weaknesses. That's the main reason why my idea was to just move the knight. And here they play bishop d2, but bishop b5 was perhaps a little bit more logical. Yeah, because again, if I take, remember, we go into an opposite bishop endgame, and they fix their structure. So, not completely, but most of it. But then went back, I just long castle now, bishop back, knight e5, and I kind of outplayed them in this endgame. Even knight g6 was the good idea, and bishop e3 was wrong, bishop d6, I wonder if knight f4 perhaps was better, but... Okay, let's check it. It's gonna lag, guys, the computer's gonna lag, but... Yeah, knight h4 was a possibility, or knight g to f4. Yeah, knight g to f4 would have actually been best. And I wonder if they defended this guy. No, actually here the idea was knight takes e3 instead of bishop d6, but bishop d6 is also an idea -2. Okay. Instead, the computer ideas is to just go back, eating this guy, threatening bishop d6, and basically is saying now material is equal even in terms of like bishop pair and stuff, and you just have an attacking position. Okay, fair enough. The computer is of course very, very sharp as usual. Check. And here I just won my pawn, and that's pretty much it. And so far, no mistakes by me. He plays b3. I finally make one mistake. Here I should have played f5. And of course defended the pawn with the king to d7. And then move it to e7, because of course that's where the magic happens. You know, that's where activity is reached. Sacrificing a pawn, because obviously. Attacking one pawn. Attacking another pawn. And I guess you have too much play on this, and you're gonna win, and you're gonna have two connected passed pawn. But see, this line is difficult because, you know, you first have to allow knight g5, which psychologically is not the easiest thing. You have to understand this concept that the king is required on the king side / center more than on the queen side, and so it's okay to do this little journey. Also, without the queens and stuff, it's safe enough. And also you have to realize that you can take back with the rook, allowing them to take here, because eventually you hit this guy, and eventually you're gonna be able to provoking b4, right? So knight c4 is a thing, and you're gonna be able to get to this guy here. I mean, okay, thank you computer, I appreciate it, but I'm happy with my h6. It still keeps some advantage, almost -2, it's -1.6, and it's very human, so I'll take that. King c7, yeah, here I simply wanted to stop knight d6, you know, so I play king c7. I mean, the fact that there are no queens on the board, of course, makes me understand that my king is not super in danger, but that whole variation was a little bit too much. Here I play g5, knight f6 is a good move that I missed, and here I went here. Yeah, perhaps not engine-wise the best move ever, but again, it's a very practical idea of just allowing my bishop to get to d8. And here they should have played a4, and after rook c8 hitting that guy, the game continues, but they play rook g to f1. I trade once, which is not good. I should have played h5. So the computer is basically saying everything is defended. Your idea of playing king b8 to trade and get a bishop to d8 to dislodge the blockader of the f-pawn, none of that matter. You have enough. Which again, Stockfish, I have enough. I appreciate you. You're telling me nicest thing than many things I've heard, but you know, it's tough to follow you. So rook takes d1 I played, bishop takes d1, correct, and here I play bishop d8, which surprisingly is a mistake. Wow, I'm very surprised. I should have played h5, but bishop d8 is probably a mistake only if my opponent finds something like this, which I thought was enough, because after knight here and here I thought I just have f6. And I'm gonna play h5. That's what I thought, but let's see what Stockfish is telling me instead. Let's say b4. Well, sorry, but what if I do this? Bishop b3, let's say, attacking this guy. Oh, and this is awkward now. Now the only way to defend this guy is to play e5. but now I'm not getting the push because he creates a blockade on the light square, and all of a sudden this opposite color bishop endgame matters. Okay, so I should have bring my king closer here, but perhaps they have some ideas of playing b4 and again creating some blockades, or maybe moving their king, and I can't really get this. Okay, logical. Yeah, it's funny because once you see it, it's like it's obvious. But my opponent plays bishop to c2, which as you can see, if you don't find this knight g4 thing, which I saw, I just thought that I still have the way to break through, but I don't, because he's able to create enough blockade on the light squares. Unless you find this, it's not gonna work. And so, yeah, that's what happened. And here the endgame is actually, I evaluated it correctly, it's pretty straightforward. I'm happy that here I found some apparently very precise moves. And yeah, my opponent just resigned here, is -4. Quite surprising. Very happy about this game. I'd say that this is a good way to be back with this road to 2500, now 2.0. And again, this is just training for my OTB. But before moving on, let me actually check what Fressine recommends, and I'm gonna check it with you guys. What Gentleman Fressine is recommending. Let's see. Fressine Sveshnikov Sicilian. Hopefully I'm not lagging too bad. Do I have the engine open? No. Okay. I know that you guys cannot see, but just give me a second. And this repertoire by Fressine is really the toughest that I've ever studied, and I've studied quite a bit, because the lines are so difficult, like long lines, and I mean, they are even explained, it's very difficult. Okay, let me try to find it. So c3, knight f3, knight c6, c3, bishop c4 lines, I think is this, hopefully. I could go with the browse 3, but let me just leave life for a second. Let me show you. We are in this chapter. Let me make it full screen. I know you guys cannot see the board correctly, but just give me a second, okay? Here we go. Webcam's fixed. And title is fixed as well. And here we are. So you should be able to see everything, guys. So this is great. This is not great, but okay. So let me actually do this because it's more comfortable for me. All right. So before c5, knight to f3, knight to c6. This is a different move order, but we actually reach the same position as the game. This is exactly the game. He suggests c4, and here d6. Okay, and queen e2. No, queen e2 is not what I'm into. What did they play? They took. So let's see it in chapter. Instead of queen e2, we are looking at taking. So not queen e2, e takes. Yeah, e takes d6. Yeah. This is what I'm into. I just want to see what the reply to that is. So, again, transposition here. Okay, so they take, here again I was debating whether or not to take with the queen or playing e5. I took with the queen, and this is correct. And here he says, now trying to get rid of the c4 pawn immediately, which is this guy here, does not promise anything for white. d3, which is... no, it's not what my opponent played. e5, and we can continue with bishop e6. This is actually a variation that he doesn't recommend for white, and it's better than what happened in the game if you think about it. Because here I didn't even get to ruin the structure. But my opponent castled, I think. So 9 is e takes d6, 9 castle. I don't even know if there is. And after bishop g4, b3, rook e1. Rook e1 is main, so I think that's the only thing that he covers. And there are also a bunch of alternatives. d4, here it is. Wow, everything is core in this course. What the frick? As you can see, there is line for everything. And again, I'm showing, the usual copyrighted material, but it's great advertisement, yada, 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 it's fine. Okay. Bishop b3, this is the game, and as you can see, it's very logical, right? After d6, I mean, they kind of have to take, now they castle, and now you go bishop g4, pinning the knight and preparing long castle. So this is not, you know, Fressin is someone that worked with Carlsen. So he's not approaching position, even from the black side, to be just, oh, we're gonna reach equality and he's a calm position. He, of course, reaches objective equality, like he has to reach 0-0, because if you're preparing for a World Chess Championship match, you have to have repertoires that allows you that. But then, of course, the nature of the position has to be in a counterplay way, right? You need some play, because otherwise Carlsen wouldn't play that. So, you know, the idea of castling and going knight e5, it looks quite aggressive. Opposite color castling, I mean, there's going to be a decisive result here. Which, of course, makes the repertoire difficult for you that you're studying it too. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure I'm going to have it as my main. Because, again, the lines are objectively very, very good and objectively extremely strong, but they're also extremely complex. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword. And, again, the stronger you are at chess, the better this course is probably for you. So we'll see. And d4, rarely seen over the board, and for good reason, as it gives white no advantage. Takes, 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 takes. So I approach it the right way. Here d4 I told you that I didn't remember, and it turns out that after taking, you take. Giving away the bishop but damaging white's pawn structure. Long castle is another possible way to continue, so it's very nice that he offers multiple ways. And he's also less committal, because, I mean, giving away the bishop, it's true, you ruin their pawn structure, but you also give them the bishop pair, and if they may outplay you, right? If they're stronger, they may outplay you with the bishop pair. Whereas if you just long castle, is a way to perhaps keeping it more calm. So as you can see, these are different approaches. Is another possible way to continue. Bishop e4, let's say. White would like to take on c6 next and play knight to e5. So their idea is to take, and then knight e5, which will hit the bishop, the f7 pawn, and the newly weakened c6 pawn, again after the take. A little bit of visualization needed. So you play f6, which is prophylaxis against knight e5, and also preparation for e5. And you may say, what if they play bishop takes c6, ruining my pawn structure? But see, this is different. You didn't take their knight, so now you are the one playing with the bishop pair, right? And let's be real, the pawn on a6 and c6, especially close to your king, are much less of a weakness than those three pawns like this. You know, like much less of a weakness. You wouldn't have, if they take, you wouldn't have double pawns. You would have two isolated pawns, but no double pawns. Instead, here they have the double isolated pawns, which is perhaps the worst. And here I reached this position, and I played the very calm move e6. It turns out castling long immediately is more in the spirit of the repertoire, perhaps. And after bishop to e4, e6 now. Okay. So not concerning myself with them taking, probably because, again, there is this idea that if we are not afraid of going into same color bishop endgames, because they have the structural weakness, whereas the opposite color bishop endgame could create situations, as we saw in that variation that my opponent didn't play, where they can create a blockade on the light squares, which is just unbreakable. Whereas if they give up the light square bishop, then we can always contrast their dark square bishop with ours, right? And so we always have the idea to push for the weaknesses. But let's say what he says. One of the possible ways to continue is bishop d6 and f5, but other setups are also possible. So yeah, very rich positions, as you can see, and he's not surprised that Carlsen is kind of choosing those type of lines, which doesn't mean that Carlsen will play exactly like this, but you know. So let's review this line, just this line here. Let's do it together with you guys, and I think I can actually do this. Okay. What happened if I click here? No, that's not good at all. Okay. So after e4, we play c5, they play knight f3, we play knight c6, and I know that we played against c3, but it transposes. c3, now we play knight to f6, attacking the pawn attack us, we move with the knight in the center, bishop c4, and here we are transposing to the game. We attack the bishop, we attack the bishop again, and now we play this move d6. Not d5, because after d5 they have the option to take en passant and we transpose, but they can also just not take us, because d6 is d5 is not eating the pawn. So d6, they take us, we take with the queen, and after they castle, we play bishop to g4 with the idea of long castling. They may play d4, but here we know what to do, we just take it. If they take with the queen, we take it. We ruin their structure, we can also play long castle, but we ruin their structure. Now I play d6 in the game, but we're gonna long castle, immediately hitting this guy, so they have to move it. And now we play e6, and we just have a game of chess. So let's go out. And let me close Chessable here, because I don't need it anymore. We checked what happened. And let's go back here to this situation here, and okay, I'm gonna say goodbye here. As you can see, the new repertoire, here you have it, look at it, this is it. This is now my OTB prep, basically my OTB training, I would say. And yeah, I'm very excited because this is May, and the first tournament that I plan to play, I may not be able to play it because of certain duties that I have, but my first tournament that I plan to play is in October. And so, May, June, July, August, September, 5 months to not just prepare lines, but also train specifically my OTB repertoire. I think that's great. I'm very excited. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's game and today's video. I'll see you either tomorrow or the next time for episode 38 of this series. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your chess.